Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Muskik here. Hope you're doing well. This video marks the 100th video of this channel. And let me just start off by saying a quick thank you to all my viewers and subscribers who have been watching my videos lately, or even this whole time. I know there are a few of them who subscribed a long time ago and have been watching so far, which I really do appreciate. And let me just say, if this channel wasn't as successful, I probably wouldn't have tried to make more videos. I would have probably just killed it off maybe 3-4 years ago when I first started the channel. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Now, enough of the Emmy talk. Let's talk about this humongous laptop that's sitting in front of us. This is a Thinkpad P71. It is not a IBM ThinkPad, it is a Lenovo one. I know, can't really afford one of those, and most of them aren't really that useful anyways. But yeah, this thing it's got a pretty interesting story. The way this came to be in my possession, you guys may have seen that HP laptop that I was using for my schoolwork back in college pretty much in college and high school, yeah. But that thing came to an end after an accident, let's just say, and I needed a replacement laptop. So what happened was I went on eBay and I ordered a ThinkPad P52, I believe, or it was a P51. One of those two. They're pretty similar, anyways. But it is a smaller version of this laptop, a 15-inch model. And what happened was that thing got stolen in shipping, and I got an empty box delivered to my doorstep. And me being an idiot, I took it in, and rather than handing it back to the postman. So we had a whole kerfuffle with the bank, and I got the money back for that thing, which I'm so glad. It was roughly, I don't know, between £300 and £400. I know that was a while ago, so excuse me. But yeah, I'm glad I got that money back, and my dad felt a bit sorry for me, so he decided to give me an extra 300 so that I could buy this humongous laptop. This thing cost around £600, and that does seem like a lot considering this was used. This was not a new laptop by any chance, by any means at all. Really. If the price of this laptop when it was new could have been close to around nearly £4,000, which is insane. But yeah, we will talk about the specs and all that when we boot up the machine. But I think let's stop the blabbering for a bit first of all and have a look at the ports, because there are quite a lot of them for a modern laptop, that's for sure. So let's do that. Okay, so I've turned on another light so you can hopefully see what's going on here. Starting off from the right, we have a media card slot. I don't think that's what they actually call these, but I think it's just like a smart card reader. Basically something that's shaped like a credit card, like an ID or something that you can slot in there and, open authorized documents or whatever. But yeah, that's what that is. My one doesn't have it, and it's just got a plastic filler in there. Underneath that we have an optical drive bay, which mine did not come with, and it is extremely hard to find, unfortunately. But yeah, that would have been pretty epic to have a laptop of this era with a drive bay like that, a disk drive rather. You can also have a hard drive caddy, which is pretty cool, so you can have roughly 4 means of storage, which is pretty cool for a laptop. I mean, what on earth? But yeah, more about that in a bit. We have this USB port here, which is USB 3. It is a pretty neat one in the fact that you can use it when the laptop is off, as you can see by that little sign there. If I move the camera a bit, there you go. Yeah, super speed. And we have a bit of ventilation, so yeah, that's pretty normal. It is a pretty big chunky laptop, as you can see. It does weigh around 3 kilos, which is insane. Oh yeah, let's flip it around to the back. Moving to the back here, we have some more interesting ports, I'd say. We have these two here, which are actually Thunderbolt 3, which is epic. You can buy a dock for this thing, mind you, it is quite rare now, and they are quite expensive. But you can have a dock that powers the laptop. It will feed Ethernet, USB, display, and I believe audio as well, which is all through one cable. Absolutely epic. I do not have the appropriate Lenovo one, but I have a HP version that I used to use with my laptop before it got decapitated. And zooming in just a bit there, you can see we have HDMI, which I believe is HDMI 2.0, I think, or 2.1. It's not the latest one, I know that. We've got an Ethernet jack, a power input, which is that typical Lenovo square one. You can see some more ventilation there. That is for the GPU. And on the left side there, or rather the right side, we have the CPU vents. So yeah, I mean, it looks kind of bare, but at least we do have some form of ports. And just looking at the lid up there, you can see my bare. We have a few like marks that you can't really see. I guess you can see, but yeah, there used to be some sort of identification stickers or something like that. Typical things, and the coating is wearing out at the top and around the corners. That's what happens when you take one of these ThinkPads to a bag every day. But oh well. On to the other side. And on this side we have, it's a bit messy over here, we have more vents for the CPU, because as you can probably tell now, this thing runs pretty damn hot. We have I believe that's a mini display port, a micro one, but yeah, you can buy a dongle for that, and you can have HDMI through that. So yeah, you got 4 ways of getting display out of just this thing alone without the dock, which is pretty epic. We got 3 more super speed ports, all USB 3.0. There's a bit of wear on the coding here, which is annoying. We got a express card slot, which is, that's quite epic for a laptop of this age. Again, I think it must have been one of the last laptops to have this feature. You do not see that on other ThinkPads, that's for sure. And we have an SD card slot here and just one headphone jack, and that's about it for ports. Now, let's talk about the other things about this thing, like specs wise. Actually, no, I should show you the rear, because I mean the underneath. That's kind of interesting. Let's have a look at that. Now that we've looked at the ports, let's have a quick look at the palm rest, and then we'll boot up the machine, just like I said. We have a nice keyboard here. It's got somewhere, it came to me like this. Above that we have a slim bar here, which kind of acts as an air intake, I guess you could say, but it's not too effective really. There's some dust. The speakers are here as well, they are close together, and I'll probably mention that later on, to be honest. Knowing myself, but yeah, they sound okay. Not very impressive for something of this size, but whatever. It's not really a media-oriented laptop. Keyboard is quite nice, with most modern ThinkPads like this. And I know a lot of people don't like this kind of style. They like the older one, which I agree. is quite nice. But even this modern one is alright compared to other laptops. We have no media keys. Again, not really a media focused laptop, but it would have been nice to have. We have two sets of audio controls, which is strange. A mic disable button there, your regular home and insert delete, print screen down here, weirdly. Another two alts. Your function and your control keys are swapped like most ThinkPads, and yeah, pretty normal. It is backlight, and you could have bought a non-backlight version with a different texture that doesn't wear out as easily. There's a little camera here for the color calibration. I will probably show that later on, but again, I might forget. We have a nice touchpad here. It is not a glass coated one, so it does wear out, as you can see, but it has 3 buttons, which is not normal. Usually it's just 2 buttons here without the middle button there, and you just have your regular buttons for your track point here. That's the Intel Xeon sticker. As mentioned, this does have a Xeon, and down there you have a hard drive light. On this side you got a fingerprint scanner and the power button, and that's about it really. Pretty normal, surprisingly, for a pretty unusual laptop. Let's see if we can power it up and if it plays games. Probably will, won't it? Okay, ignore the shadows and stuff, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see anything. But looking underneath here, we can see a whole lot of ventilation. That's for the GPU, by the way, and that's the little CPU one. And as I mentioned before, this thing does run hot. The base is made of metal, which is nice, and it's got a magnesium frame, which I will put a picture of because I have torn this thing apart for thermal paste replacement, which, you know, unfortunately that didn't make much of a difference, but oh well. We do have a dock port that's for a physical dock that you can just plonk this thing on top of and have more ports. Under this bay here, this cover, I mean, we have one 2.5-inch space, which is right here, and there's an SSD, which is what it originally came with. There are 2 NVMe slots on this side, and then you have your Wi-Fi card over here. I will not be opening it up because these screws are already kind of stripped and I don't want to mess with that. They are captive, so they're not very easy to replace. Here's the battery. I actually had to ask the seller to send me a better condition battery because the one that it came with was pretty much toast, and he also sent another one which also was toast, but oh well. If we zoom in down there, you might be able to see something. Yep, that's a little SIM card thing there, so you can have kind of like mobile data or something there. There's a serial number down here, and that's the connector for the battery, and nothing else is down here. So yeah, let's just put this back in like so. It's very easy to just slot in, and let's try and see how it does. Okay, got it all set up on the table here, and of course I've had to plug in the absolutely humongous power brick here. It is a 230 watt version. There was a 180 watt version as well for the lower spec versions of this laptop, because this thing comes with a whole variety of configurations that you could have had. But yeah, this one specifically, as you can see by the BIOS here, it's got a Xeon E3 1535 MV6. Very long name, I know. This laptop is a Kaby Lake era one. There is a Skylake version, which is the P70, and there is a newer version that I forget. I totally forget the name of the 8th gen ones, but that was the last 17-inch ThinkPad that you could buy, as far as I'm aware. And that's a shame, really. You can buy a kind of a 16-inch version with a taller screen, but that's not really the same, is it now? But yeah, a few things to note here. I like how it got the most recent BIOS update until last year, which is pretty cool. This thing is now 5-6 years old now, but I think it's doing absolutely splendid. 32 gigs of RAM, 3.1 gigahertz, pretty normal. Not the most fastest laptop, that's for sure. It does have secure boot and TPM, but it will not run Windows 11, which is a shame. This whole BIOS is pretty much American Megatrend style, but it's got a lot of features here. I will go through them quickly, because I do plan on making this as short as possible. Here's the always on feature, and you can even charge in battery mode, which is cool. And yeah, typical Lenovo features, because they have the function keys and the control key swapped around. This is a pretty interesting one. You can choose whether which display you want to use in case you're having this laptop permanently hooked up to a dock, so you can show the whole BIOS screen on your monitor instead. So that's cool. You can change the amount of memory the iGPU has. It does have an iGPU, surprisingly, for a Xeon machine, a Xeon especially. This is another interesting feature. You can have hybrid graphics, where you can use the integrated graphics and the discrete graphics together, which is pretty neat. And like it says, it does save a lot of battery life. This one is also pretty normal. You see this a lot. Another bunch of interesting things. Optical drive speed, didn't notice that. But yeah, thermal management, I keep on maximum performance, but it doesn't really do much. Unfortunately, this thing does have a lot of thermal issues, and that's not just because this is a beefy laptop. This thing literally has a design flaw in its cooling system, and you can put some links down below where you can see people complain on the forums about this thing. Oh yeah, oh gosh, a whole bunch of these ones you might pretty normal to see as well. With laptops, they have that express card. But yeah, going back here, it's also pretty normal. RAID, which is epic. You can have 2 NVMe's in RAID, which is pretty insane to think about. I wonder how fast it'll run. That's also pretty normal. Thunderbolt 3, as I mentioned before. You can disable it and have a bit. Oh, that is interesting. Lots and lots of security and other features like that. No idea what this one does. I'm console type. Yeah, let me know what that does in down below. Whole bunch of security features that are pretty normal on business class machines. That is also pretty cool. You can do that with this laptop as well. A lot of business machines have had that for nearly 15 years now, which is epic. That's your TPM there. I keep it off. I'm using Windows 10 anyways, so not really needed. Fingerprint, you can reset the data from here rather than just a program in Windows. Anti-theft, CompuTrace, thankfully this is disabled. We don't want that. Secure boot is enabled for some reason, and Intel SGX is also disabled, surprisingly. Device guard, I have never used this before either. Yeah, whole lot of things. That's also pretty cool. And that's just your regular boot menu things. So yeah, that's all there is for the BIOS. Let's see how it does in Windows. Okay, so here we are booted up into Windows, and unfortunately I can't really show you one thing that I want to explain here, but this screen, man, it is amazing. It is a 4K work of art. It is an IPS panel that is color calibrated. You might have seen earlier with the camera down on the palm rest. If I move it down there, you can kind of see it. Yeah, and what that says, it is provided by a company called Pantone, and I'm not very familiar with them, to be honest, but from what I can tell, they are a pretty serious color calibration company where video editors and other people that make use of that really need a color calibrated display, maybe those who work in 3D graphics and all that, they usually go to that company for all of their equipment and things. But yeah, I don't really. That's all I can gather from that, unfortunately. But yeah, unfortunately, this camera does not show how well the screen looks. It is very, very sharp. It is probably the best screen display, whatever you want to call it, that I have in my possession. It's better than everything. Maybe even better than that HP monitor. But yeah, let's just start off by, I guess we'll just show how it does on the web, as usual. We might as well do it the same way I do it to my retro machines, but let's do that, huh? Just for old time's sake, I guess. And there we have it. It runs YouTube just fine at 4K. It looks absolutely stunning on this screen. I've actually had to turn down the brightness, so I am not blinded and the camera is not blinded by it. Yeah, but yeah, does just fine really, and even just going on to our good old Venge.io, it does it with no sweat. Obviously being a modern machine, it really doesn't struggle with this kind of thing. It can pretty much do all of the things that I need, that's for sure. I will consider replacing the Wi-Fi card in this, so it is only a Wi-Fi 5. Oh, great. Well, that's just fun, isn't it? Okay, never mind then. Let me just show you HWinfo, and we'll do Nova Bench as well, and then we'll go on to some games. I've got a lot of different things to show you on this one, that's for sure. Here we go. Here's HWinfo. As I've mentioned before, I was right about the name. Yeah, it's a Kaby Lake, and it is a Xeon E3 1535 MV6. I did already talk about that stuff. You can see the RAM here, which is indeed 32 gigs, and this thing has 4 slots for RAM, which is insane. But yeah, it's got 2 under the keyboard and 2 that are accessible down below. And if we go on the right here, we can see the Intel graphics, which is the P630, not the regular 630 Xeon things. What can I say? And if we go to number 2 here, GPU 1 I mean, we can see the actual beast hidden below. This has a Quadro P4000. This is not the most top-end GPU that you can get, but it is one of the highest, pretty much. It is an absolutely, I guess you could say, a pretty decent card for its age now. I was about to say it's absolutely crazy, but to be honest, at this point it's alright. It's like a GTX 1070 mobile, not a regular 1070 for PC, but it's still got a lot of oomph in it. It is a PCI 3.0 card, obviously, but yeah. Let's see if it actually has some performance to it, though. It's all talking games that's saying, oh, it's a Quadro, it can play games, but let's see if it actually can. And trust me, hopefully you won't be disappointed by this. So let's see how it does. First up, Nova Bench 5. I'll not be running the old version. I'm gonna try and stick to a kind of, let's say not a theory, but a guideline where we will use this newer version on more recent PCs and the other one for the more retro machines on this channel. Let's not make that mistake again that I did to those poor ultra small form factor machines. But yeah, let's see how it does. It also shows the battery health capacity, which is at 90%, still pretty good. The Lenovo Advantage software also shows the same. Let me skip forward and save some time. Ooh, here's something a bit interesting. Wow, that is quite smooth, that's for sure. Pretty good. That is quite surprising. I don't think it's running at 4K, that's for sure, but because I don't really think a GTX 1070 is not, or equivalent to a GTX 1070 is able to do something like this at 4K. Yeah. Time to skip forward again. Here's the score. 1,354. Wow. That is pretty good. I didn't sign in here, so let me just quickly sign in. Actually, I'll just show that idea and not put a picture. But yeah, that is pretty fantastic. CPU got a pretty good score. GPU got a pretty low score, surprisingly. It's only showing one of the SSDs in here. I've got two, that's the main one, and I just put an NVMe from a different laptop in it, which is currently full of files. So it's not booting off that just yet, but hopefully I will swap it over to that, and then keep this one for games and other things. But yeah, let's see how it does on games finally. I know I keep saying it, but yeah, let's do it finally, come on! First up for games, BeamNG. I know, not a proper game, but I do like playing it a lot. We are running at, I believe, high settings, but I have turned down the resolution, which is why things may look a bit small. We're running at 1920 by 1080. Oh yeah, that's high settings basically. And you can see by the temps up there, CPU is not doing too happy. We're running at 46 FPS, yeah. Not a solid 60, but it is still pretty playable. And this is the most demanding map in the game. GPU is doing pretty cool, so that is pretty epic. Usually, with these kind of laptops, it's the GPU that hooks up first, and then the CPU. But it is the other way around, thanks to the flawed cooling system on this machine. The CPU likes the thermal solid a lot, and it doesn't really release its full potential, which is quite a shame. I have tried Cyberpunk and a few other games on this, but I will not be showing those today. As I mentioned, we do not have much storage to play with, and these modern games take a lot of space. Right, on to the next one. Okay, so the next game is GTA 4, but I just want to show you this silly thing. It thinks that we're running on the iGPU here, which is quite funny. This is what happens when you run certain things and on the hybrid graphics feature, and it starts to think that you're using the iGPU. So yeah, that's quite dumb. Okay, so here's GTA 4. Let me turn on the sound a bit. The speakers aren't the greatest, as you might have been able to tell. They are quite close to each other, as I will have mentioned before. So just take your car here. Get out, mister. But yeah, we are getting a solid 60 frames, and the CPU is cooked as usual. So yeah, that is quite cool. And you guys might know how badly optimized this game is. So, but you know, this is quite an old game now. a lot of things should be able to run it right. Oops. So yeah, let's just get on to something a bit more modern, shall we? Okay, GTA 4 too old enough? How about GTA 5 non-enhanced? We're not gonna run ray tracing on this thing, guys. That's the settings we're running at. Pretty much very high on everything. Extended shadows and all that stuff is disabled. Don't really need that. But let's try story mode and a bit of online, huh? So here we are. And as you can see, it is not a solid 60, but it is pretty good considering how we literally nearly maxed out on the graphics. And now this is the old version of GTA 5, it is not the enhanced one, so it would probably struggle a bit more. I am terrible at driving, what is wrong with me? But yeah, still perfectly playable, and the CPU has gone to nearly 90 now. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Fans are taking off, as you can hear. But doing okay. At least we're not having any stuttering issues or any funny things going on with the screen or anything. So it is kind of stable. I'm like, what am I saying? Kind of stable? It is fine. Yeah. Jeez. Getting a bit sleepy, I guess. Let's go to the next game, shall we? Well, this was gonna be the last game to show, but considering the time at the moment, and I'm guessing not many people will play this kind of game on such an expensive laptop like this, I think we'll just leave it like that, and let's time to wrap all of this up and end the video. So, if you've managed to stay for this long, thanks for watching, guys. As usual, I really do appreciate it. And as usual, I will say you have the option to like and subscribe, but in utmost geek fashion, we don't do that kind of thing around here. That is totally up to you. But yeah. For my final opinions on this laptop, I would recommend that you stay away from it, because even the i7 versions have this same kind of thermal cooling issue, and I believe the P50 series is okay, 51, 52 and etc. But these ones, gosh, they just run too hot and the CPU just limits itself, and it just kind of, makes the experience a bit feel wasted, really. And they didn't really fix this issue with the P72 either, even though they redesigned the whole heatsink. But yeah, it is a real shame that I can't recommend it, but if you do want something that is just absolutely quirky and the kind of king or the pride of ThinkPads, I guess you could call it, this could be a good option for something a bit more on the modern side. But yeah, that's it for this one, guys. See you in the next video. Bye for now.